All right.
Hello everyone. We have a great first webinar of the year going. How to build your business and succeed in 2024 with Brent Lancaster. We're gonna have a jam-packed informational session today, so I'll hand it over to him, let him get started. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate it. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Really appreciate having you in here today. So you can just go ahead and make me large if you want to. We're not going to do screen share. I'm just going to come all the way up here. Everything's going to be right here on the screen. But I'm really excited to be here. Really appreciate having you in here. We can talk a little bit about how to build your business and succeed here in 2024. So as Ethan said, my name is Brent Lancaster. I'm from the opposite end of the world, at least the country from you. I'm down here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm a real estate broker and owner here, as well as an educator. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And so we've got a lot of jam-packed things that I want to get to you, mainly because I'm excited. I'm really excited, A, to have 2023 behind us, B, to have 2024 ahead of us. So my goal today is to be able to at least you walk away with some action items. With A, at least some action items to be able to better your business, whether it's working with buyers, working with sellers, how we can acquire that, because in my opinion, there's some pent-up demand. But also, I'm going to be coming up there live in a couple of weeks. And we're going to talk a little bit about building your business and your business plan and different things like that. So if we have some time, I kind of want to give you some tips about what we're going to be discussing in detail, and hopefully to be able to invite you for that as well. So looking forward to it. Really excited about where we are and what we're doing. So this is where I'm coming. January 18th is when I'll be in town here. And then it's from let's see what we got. January 18th from 9 to 10 is a networking class. We'll talk about networking today. I think it's important. It's a 3-hour CE class that starts for 10:15. It starts at 10:15, and again, it's at the Marriott Hotel in Uniondale. So I look forward to meeting you in person. I'm really excited about that as well. And it looks like they put the registration link that's in there as well. But right now, let's talk a little bit about 2024. And so just kind of giving you some general background on me. This is year 21. Last year was 20 years in the business for me as a real estate agent here in Baton Rouge. And so my background is sort of in economics and finance, but I've certainly been in the education business and the real estate business for 20 years. I'm a big fan of numbers, facts, figures, and different things like that. And now that we're sort of in a little bit of a changing market, I'm really excited to kind of bring to you what we have as well, mainly because it's good news. The bad news is, at least in my local market, it was down about 24%. So closed sales were down 24% year over year, which means there was almost 25% fewer transactions in 2023 than there was in 2022. My personal business was down about 15%. So if I'm looking at silver lining, I did better than the average, which was good. But for the most part, 2024 is going to be a whole different animal. The fact that you're here, to me, means that you've survived. And so survival sometimes is necessary, but ultimately, I want to give you some ideas and some strategies that we can do there, that we can look forward to as well. So the first thing that I want to look at is mortgage applications. Obviously, about 75% of all sales last year required a mortgage. And so obviously, if more people are filling out mortgage applications, that means more buyers are potentially entering into the market, right? Well, what's interesting and something that was very unique that I've been tracking is mortgage applications are on the rise. And when you think about it, you think about Thanksgiving. Right around Thanksgiving generally is when we hit that lull, right? Thanksgiving until all the way past New Year's, generally it's next week where things start picking up, the second week in November when we start seeing things pick up. But something interesting happened last year. Right after Thanksgiving, we started seeing more mortgage applications, not less. And so it was odd when it happened once, and it was odd when it happened twice. Look at this. 6 weeks in a row. So we had more and more buyers entering the marketplace for 6 of the last 8 weeks of last year, which is crazy unusual. All right. So I'm glad you're here because for a month last year, I was telling people the last 8 weeks of the year, now's the time. Buyers are entering the market. So the buyers aren't entering the market. They're already here. So I do expect that trend to accelerate. Obviously, it went down the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. This is what it looks like. So this is the MBA Purchase Index. And before I go any further, I will give you every single one of these slides. I will email it to you. We're going to give it to I'll give it to the team immediately after this, and then they can get you this slide deck. So I want to make sure that you have copies. This is not my proprietary stuff, so we want to make sure that it's there. But this tracks all of the mortgage applications, right? And so normally after Thanksgiving, typically after Labor Day, you start seeing a little bit of a market decline just because people start wrapping up the year. But look how odd that is. That is a really weird trend that's up. And then it went down a little bit the week of Christmas. That was last week. Obviously, between Christmas and New Year's, you're going to see a bit. So my point is buyers aren't coming. Buyers are here. And this number you can expect to continue to increase, probably get along these numbers where we were last year. So why were buyers waiting? What's the big reason that that buyers are hesitating? Well, 72% said they're hesitating or paused a buying decision because of mortgage rates. 34% said because of inventory. So if you're talking to buyers, all right, if you don't have an answer for these two, then we're missing the boat. The good news is you're here, so we're going to give you the answer for these two. All right, if 72% of buyers are pausing their buying decision because of mortgage interest rates, I'm sure you know that interest rates are falling, right? 9 weeks in a row, we've seen interest rates go down. Okay, so obviously, from a buyer standpoint, if a buyer's hesitation is I'm waiting for mortgage interest rates to go down, guess what? They're down. And what we're going to run into is we're going to run into a situation where buyers are going to wait for the right moment. They're waiting for a specific number. And I think it's your responsibility as an agent, my responsibility as an agent, to tell buyers, now's not the time to wait. Today is the day to make it happen. And so that's really what we're going to focus on today is we're going to use these couple of indicators to let us know, hey, we got some good things that are happening in the marketplace. So let's talk about listing agents out there. How can we unlock inventory? Okay. This came out first week in November. This is NAR's profile of home buyers and sellers. And for those of you on smaller devices, you might not be able to read it, but we'll get there in just a second. So what I have done is I've highlighted kind of where most sellers are buying, or excuse me, finding their real estate agent. They basically just ask, hey, where are you finding your real estate agent? 39% of sellers found their real estate agent from a friend, neighbor, or relative. So if you're not continuing to work your database, you're making a mistake. You're missing out, right? 39% friends, neighbors, or relatives, which means the seller went, who did you use? Right? That's pretty much what happened. 26% of sellers use the agent to previously find another home. So those are your referrals, right? Your past clients, excuse me, your past clients and that sort of thing. And then 4%, this is kind of one of my favorites here, is referred by another real estate agent or broker. And that's kind of where I look at this 4% as freebies. Right? Because that's 1 or 2 transactions a year that are just going to be referral based. And I don't want to discount the power of networking, the power of reaching out to those people that are within your board, but maybe geographically a little bit different. Think about where people go vacation. Think about where people go on trips, right? Think about where people are buying second homes, vacation properties, Airbnbs. I know that you'll have a weird Airbnb thing going on up there. But ultimately, right, I want to know where my clients are investing their money, and I want referral partners in those areas. I want to know where my clients are going to. I want to know where my clients are coming from, and maybe I can get referral partners in there because this 4% typically, and what we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks when I'm there, this is 100% profit. All of our expenses are paid up in here, but if I can get a referral fee just by making a phone call, or I can get business just by somebody making a phone call to me, this is 100% profit. So the power of networking and being able to communicate with people within your company, with people within your, if you have a large franchise, certainly Ask your buyers and sellers if they're leaving, where are they going? Do you know an agent in that area? If they're moving in, where are they coming from? Do you know agents in that area? But it's a really, really powerful thing. All this equals 69%. And so ultimately what that means is 70% of your business needs to come from friends, neighbors, relatives, past clients, and other agents. All right? Could be 100%, hopefully. All right? But that's really what we can focus on in 2024. So you want to know where your business is? Your business is right there within your database. 70% of your business can be right there in your database. Look at this. 43% of first-time home sellers. The first time a seller has sold their house in their life, 43% of the time, they're asking a friend, a neighbor, or relative, what agent should I use? Don't you want to be that agent? I think that's super awesome to be able to do that. And then that kind of gets into our sphere. I'm not a big fan of the sphere word, but ultimately, you do kind of want to talk about the importance of that database and what we can do and what we can see there as well. As I said, 30% of sellers are going to be first-time home sellers, which is a little odd. We always talk about first-time home buyers kind of as that niche. We'll talk about them in just a second. But first-time home sellers, again, might be a little bit of a niche. 30% of everybody that's selling a house today, it's the first time that they've ever sold. Certainly they've been involved in the transaction from a buyer's side, but they haven't been involved in the transaction from a listing side as well. All right? So why are sellers not selling? I heard this all year, right? Why in the world would I list my house when I'm sitting at 3.25, 2.75, 3.5, all of these things as well? We're going to continue to hear this all the way probably for the next 2 to 3 years in this entrance. So we've got to find a way to be able to overcome this. I would argue that now's the perfect time to sell. All right. The reality is that 85% of mortgages have an interest rate below 6%. Obviously, interest rates are a little bit above 6% right now. Some people are predicting interest rates are going to go into the 5s. Who knows? But I'm going to deal with where they are today. We're running, I guess in my market, we're running somewhere around 6.6, 6.7, which is anything below 7s I can work with. I can probably shake a seller loose. But 51% of homeowners have an interest rate under 4. All right. So there was a ton of movement in 2019, 2020, 2021, and the first 3 months of 2022, where pretty much everybody refinanced. That's fine. That gives you good news. So how in the world can I shake a seller loose when they're sitting at a 3.25, 2.85, whatever it is, interest rate right there? Well, right here. All right. This is Brent Lancaster's formula on how to shake loose inventory. The first thing we need is interest rate stability. We got it. Okay. We're there now. The second thing we need is equity. And that's going to equal the perfect time to sell. All right, so for 2 years, we've had crazy interest rate variations, right? In 2022, the first 3 months were pretty stable. March, April, things, obviously the Fed started increasing interest rates. And for, I guess, a year and 8 months, things have just kind of been a zoo. Obviously, in November, we started seeing interest rates decline. Mid-December, we saw things hit below 7s, and now we've got a little bit more stability that's happening. And I do think there's a lot more buyers and sellers that were just waiting for stability as opposed to a decline. All right, and that's one of the things that you know, just think about it, right? When things are variable, we typically hold pat. But when things are stable, that's when we can really make some good financial decisions. So interest rate stability is going to happen in 2024, which is good. But I'm going to focus here on the equity piece as well. Just to give you an idea, this happened in 2022. Interest rates rose 0.63% in 30 days between April and May. And then in mid-June, it went the same way in 2 days. All right. That's variation, right? That's instability. And that's why we saw so many buyers jump off the market. That's why we saw so many sellers say, oh, I'm not ready to do anything, because nobody knew how far or how fast these things were going to go up. Yep, I just pressed the wrong button there. Mortgage interest rates are looking to forecast actually to go down. I think pretty much any economist will tell you that they believe that it's going to go down. But this is variation, right? You can look at 2022, 2023. but now we've got some stability, and stability is really the only thing that we need. For those of you that are very hesitant, right? One of those risk management things is I want to be the source of the source. There's a great site out there called themortgagereports.com, themortgagereports.com. That's where I get this. And basically, these guys interview the chief economist from the mortgage bankers, the home builders, Fannie, NAR, and Wells Fargo. So you pretty much have every sector of the real estate economy taken care of. And they say, hey, what do you think mortgage rates are going to do in the next 90 days? And that's kind of where I get my projection, right? And so this allows me, when buyers or sellers say, hey, what are interest rates going to do? I don't really know, but I also don't want to say no. I kind of want to be the source of the information. I can say, well, according to all the chief economists for all the major players in real estate, all right, I can show them this chart and say, hey, this is what the projection is going to look like. And so again, you can be the source of the source. I can provide that information there as well. Themortgagereports.com. I thought I had it down here, but I don't. From that. So we talked about the interest rate stability. So we've got that part. Now let's talk equity. And this is where I think if you just do a little bit of research, this is something that we can do that as well. And also, sorry, let me back up. Feel free to put questions, comments in the chat. I'll try and cover them as we get to it, but also I can leave time at the end for questions as well. So I'll post the website in the chat publicly when I get over there. So let's address this equity piece, okay? Because the equity piece, again, just a little bit of research is something that you can take a look at. So I didn't look. I took some time after Christmas and New Year's, so I didn't look at my December number. So I'm going to use the November number. Now, this is median home price. And so one thing that I would like for you to do, action item, is what was the median home price in December or January of 2019 versus right now, okay? So, and I don't want you to look at the number. I mean, in 2019 in my area, it was 199,000. I know there's probably some substantial variation in your market. So don't get caught up on the median home price number, because I'm sure yours is going to be a little bit higher. But I do think it's a specific number that you need to look at. And whether it's going to be your total market, whether it's going to be in a particular area or zip code, right? Your MLS will allow you to look up these numbers. All right. But I would look at what the 2019 number is compared to what the 2023 or the 2024 number. So as you can see, median home price obviously has increased over time. All right, so it was $199,900 in 2019. It's $260,000 in 2023. What does that mean? What that means is the increase in equity is $60,000. Okay, the increase in equity is $60,000. So one of the things that I want you to do immediately after we're done here is see what the median home price, don't get average. Average is going to screw you up. Get median. Median means middle. 50% of the home sales, so here in 2019, 50% of the home sales were above $199,000 and 50% were below. So median home price, I want you to find out what it was in December of 2019 and December of 2023, and then get the difference, all right? Because anybody that asks me, hey, what's real estate look like, right? And again, they kind of teach you this in your sales topics and that sort of thing. It's always a good time to buy and sell. The market's always good, right? Well, if every real estate agent's saying that, I want to prove my value. So when they ask me, Brent, how's the market? I say, you know what? I was running the numbers today, and from 2019 to 2024, the median home price has increased by $60,000, which means if you would have bought a home in 2019, you would have on average $60,000 worth of equity in your house. When did you buy your home? Well, I didn't buy it in 2019. I bought it in 2012. Oh, 2012? We might have $100,000 worth of equity in there. How about I run a CMA for you and we can see how much equity we can use, right? Every other agent is saying, now's a good time to buy. Now's a good time to sell. But I'm using this number to actually put money in their pocket, right? And that's what it is. This is $60,000 that has been generated over the past 5 years to actually get within their pocket. All right. And the good news is, as you know, if they've been in there 2 out of the last 5 years, that's 60,000, at least in my market, tax-free, baby, right? And so up to $250,000 single, $500,000 married filing jointly. And my expectation is, my guess is that in your market, it's going to be a ton bigger than this, right? And so what you want to be able to do is shake loose those sellers. Is it going to work for every seller? Maybe, maybe not. But here's the thing. How long are people moving in here? All right. And so one of the things that I look at every year, let me get this a little bit bigger. All right. Is the median average, I guess the median, 50% of your sellers lived in their house longer than 10 years, and 50% of your sellers lived in their house less than 10 years. So that's a pretty important number. But look at this. 25%. 25% of all sellers have been in their house 21 years or more. So just think about it. 1 out of every 4 potential sellers that you talk to has 21 years worth of equity in their house. How crazy is that? All right. 21 years worth of equity. Think about the cash that they're sitting on. All right. So yes, they refinanced at 3.25, but if they're sitting on $200,000 worth of equity, now I've got something to work with. Now, as a real estate professional, I can show you where I can take that equity. We can actually move it into a property that you like, that you want, right? And we could probably lower your note. So I can use the equity at a higher interest rate and actually put you in a better house at a lower note than where you are right now. All right? Because when you refinanced, you probably, got a better rate. But we're looking at the equity. So have that equity conversation, right? And it's the perfect way to do that. The perfect entry point's right here. All right. The perfect entry point is, well, and all it is, again, I'll go through the conversation. Brent, how's the market? Well, since 2019, the median home price has increased $60,000. When'd you buy your house? 2010. 2010? Holy smokes. We probably have, 80, 90. $1,000 worth of equity in there? What's your address? Let me run a CMA. Let's go ahead and talk, right? Because what we're doing is all of a sudden I put $60,000 in their pocket. Then I told them it's probably more. And now I have that second appointment. I'm able to get belly to belly to be able to run that CMA and have that conversation. All right. And again, this is how long that they've been in that property. Okay. And I saw this a few weeks ago, which just mesmerized me. So somebody wrote an article basically talking about the year-over-year declines, right? And they were kind of talking about, all right, from the COVID peak and then the drop, right? And all of these, this is the top 30 markets in the United States. And you probably can't read it, but you don't need to. You can just see the red and the blue. And they were focusing on the red. And they were saying, look at all these markets with a decline in price year over year. And then the one thing that stuck out to me, right, is the blue. Look at this. This says change since March of 2020. Do you see any column that's in red? No. So the top 30 markets in the United States have not seen a price decline since 2020. As a matter of fact, what I see is 26% increase, 29% increase, 38% increase, 49% increase. So what we're seeing is what's happening in my market is probably happening in yours much larger, right? And you're going to hear things, yeah, year over year prices are down. That's true, but somebody that bought a house a year ago, that's not my market. Your market is at 25% that's been living in their house for 20 years, right? Anybody that's bought a house prior to 2020 has seen substantial equity increase as well. And so again, where are your sellers? It's time to start reaching out, right? We've been in a year, several years where sellers were coming to us. Now it's time to get proactive to be able to reach those sellers and say, hey, gang, this is what we're looking at, right? Again, that referral piece. Don't forget that referral piece that's there. So identify those sellers that have bought in the past 2 years, address the equity issue. And again, the most important reason that I want to be able to get to that meeting. The reason that I say, hey, let me run a CMA for you. Hey, let's go ahead and sit down and talk about what the value of your home is here's the secret. All right. The secret is think about everybody in your database and how many real estate agents that they know. You're not the only one, right? Obviously, I mean, we've got 1.5 million members of NAR. So there's at least a million, 1.5 million other folks that they can talk to. So you're not the only agent that they know, but here's the dirty little secret. 81% of sellers only contact one real estate agent. And so if I can get to that appointment, if I can really convert and we can use that 60,000, whatever that average, that median home price is, if I can run that CMA, if I can continue that communication, I know that when it comes to making a selling decision, they're only going to talk to one agent. They know more than one, but they're only going to interview one 80% of the time. And so that's really what I need you to focus on. That's what we're looking at, is getting into that database and becoming this one interview. 12% interview two or more, or two. So that's what, 93%? 93% of the time, either you get the business just by showing up, or you only have to compete with one other agent, okay? This is the secret to success in 2024. We need to get to that appointment, and hopefully we've given you that in order to do that. Let's flip it over to the buyer's side and see what it looks like from that standpoint. For those of you that are buyer's agents, let's take a look at that, okay? A couple of strategies. First thing, if interest rates is all they're gonna talk about, then who's interest rate sensitive? First thing that I wanna look at is cash buyers. You think about it, now's the best time to be a cash buyer. So I wanna look into my database, see if there's anybody that's sitting on cash, looking at cash. Certainly, everybody, I had conversations with my tax professional last week. I didn't like those conversations, but ultimately, if somebody's sitting on some cash, then there's some really good strategies that they can use. And so I want to be their agent of choice when it comes to doing that. You think about the power that cash buyers have today. Certainly, when you're starting to look at an increase in inventory, cash buyers are right where we're at. First-time home buyers are the next one. And this is something, again, where I think people are waiting, and what you as a real estate professional need to be able to do is tell your buyers, now's not the time, all right? Now's not the time to wait. Now's the time to buy, all right? Because there's a lot of buyers that are pent-up demand, and the lower interest rates get, the more buyers enter into the market. And obviously, if there are more buyers entering into the market, who are the first people that are going to be marginalized? Your first-time home buyers. Why? Because typically, there's going to be, I don't want to say messy, but harder to get through, right? Your loan products are going to be a little bit different. The strategy is going to be a little bit different. A lot of time, your first-time home buyers don't have the down payment that some other buyers do because they're not bringing that equity. I mean, if a first-time home buyer, they don't have that $60,000 in equity to bring over. However, if I'm working with a seller that's becoming a buyer, they have that $60,000. And so I do think that now's the time that where you need to reach out to your first-time home buyers and say, hey guys, if you're waiting until the spring, there's going to be a whole lot more competition out there. So now's the time to start looking as a first-time home buyer. Now's the time to buy as a first-time home buyer, because more buyers are going to enter into the market when that weather warms up. And we're not going to be in as good a position. It's coming, folks. It's coming. So we need to shake those buyers loose right now as well. And that's the whole thing, right? I'm going to wait until the interest rate declines. And so that's kind of where we're looking at it. So if we're talking to buyers out there and they say, hey, well, I'm just kind of waiting for I hear interest rates are going down. I'm waiting for interest rates to go down. You can say, well, guess what? We're here 9 weeks in a row. 9 weeks in a row, we've seen the interest rate decline. All right, so we've hit the peak. All right, one question that I'm going to ask them is, what are you waiting? What interest rate are you waiting for? So if somebody's going to say, hey, well, I'd be buying, but I'm waiting for interest rates to go down, my question to them, what interest rate are you waiting on? And they're always going to say sub 5, sub 4, sub something, okay? But what I hear, what's in my brain is that's a buyer, okay? That's a lead. It's a warm lead, all right? And I want to be able to put that number sort of in my database. So if they say into the 4s, You know, and I know we're probably not going to get into the fours anytime soon, maybe ever again. We're certainly not going to get into the threes, maybe in my lifetime. But I do know that that's an interested buyer. And so I want to be able to put them in my database. I want to be able to put them in my workflow to be able to reach out to them. Because guess what? When interest rates hit 6.5, I'm going to call and say, hey, I know you were waiting on the fours, but interest rates just hit 6.5. All right. 3 months later, hey, I know you're waiting on the fours, but interest rates just hit 6.15, 6.25. Hey, I know you're waiting on the fours, but we just dropped below 5. What I'm doing is continually communicating with that individual, because I can assure you, if they're interested in buying, they're probably not going to wait till the fours. All right. But if I'm continually letting them know interest rates are going down, interest rates are going down, interest rates are going down, then all of a sudden we can start shaking loose that buyer to where they become a hesitant buyer to somebody that's active in the marketplace, right? Have you ever, you know, when you're thinking about buying a car, right? If you ever thought about buying a car, you've pretty much bought a car, right? You're rationalizing an emotional decision. Well, that's kind of where your buyers are here. So I'm not going to wait to the 4%. I want to constantly communicate with those buyers, nurture them, because again, I need to know exactly what's going on in the marketplace, because every time interest rates go down, and here's the key thing that you need to communicate to your buyers. Every time interest rates go down, more competition, more buyers enter into the marketplace. Because if we ever, and I'm still, I don't believe that we're going to get into the fives. You've got a lot of economists that actually do. But if we ever get into the 5% again, we might head back to 2020 world, right? Because you're looking at probably 1 million buyers that are going to enter into the marketplace. Well, we've only got 500,000 properties nationwide, right? That we've got on the market. So I do think it's something that we need to take a look at as well. All right. And so again, interest rates have dropped 9 weeks in a row. Mortgage applications are going up. So I do think we can use this information to say, guess what? The more people that apply for mortgages, that's competition for every single one of your buyers. And so do you think this is going to go up as the weather warms up? You better believe it. This will probably go up every single week between now and Memorial Day, excuse me. Right. And so every week, more and more buyers are entering the marketplace. That's good for business. That's good for us, but it's bad for your buyers. So if you have a buyer right now that's sitting on the fence, we need to get them off the fence and we need to get them in the market, because every week more people are going to be interested in buying. And remember, you remember what that looked like? All right. For those of you that went through 2020 and 2021, I still have those scars, right? I'm still shaken a little bit about what happened, mainly because it was a completely different market. And what happens is more and more buyers enter the marketplace, the more likely we're going to head there, right? Cash over and above asking, paying appraisal waivers, appraisal gaps, inspection waivers, zero leverage. All right. If interest rates get below 5, this could potentially be the market that we're in. So why not prepare your buyers for the landscape that it is today? Because who knows what it's going to look like in April. This could very well be the case in April. All right. Whereas today, this is not the case. And so it's our responsibility to be able to explain to buyers exactly what's happening. So if you're waiting on a 4% interest rate, this is the market you're going to get. And if you don't have cash, you're going to lose. So why not buy today? All right, when we do have a better negotiating position, when there is a little bit more inventory, right? Yeah, you're going to pay a higher interest rate, but you got more choices today. You're in a better negotiating position. I'm still seeing seller paid closing costs, buying down rates, right? All of these things are continuing to happen in the marketplace. So it shouldn't matter whether you're talking to a buyer or talking to a seller. Now's the time, right? And so we can be laying that foundation not only for getting business today, but certainly to prepare our buyers and our sellers for what's going to happen in the future. Because I'm super encouraged by what's going to happen in 2024. I think we're going to have a great year, but those that are prepared to have these conversations to lay the foundation today, those are the ones that are going to see the most success, certainly in the first quarter of 2024 and into the summer. I think the summer is going to be gangbusters. The spring's going to be great, but the summer is going to be crazy and crazy gangbusters as well. So today's the day, folks. Actually, 2 weeks ago was the day, but we can't do anything about that. We're going to work on it today to get those things rolling in order to do well. This is something that I pulled just again. I run the numbers in my world. So if there's 3 numbers that you as a realtor should be tracking every single month within your MLS, the first number is closed sales. Okay, how many sales are closing in your MLS? Because I want to know, is business up? Is business down? Kind of what does business look like? I told you we're down 27% over year. How do I know that? Because that's a number that I track. So that's kind of an internal number, closed sales. The second number we talked about earlier, which is median home price. Okay, I want to look at median home price. I want to see the difference in that. That's the $60,000. And the third number is inventory. Okay, what is the total inventory within your MLS? And last month, our inventory, I guess in November, it was 2779, which basically means there was 2,779 active units. Obviously, you have a much bigger board, a much bigger MLS, but you can sort of narrow that down to a specific area. And so, if I can look at those 2 numbers, median home price and inventory, then I can talk to every single buyer and every single seller, and I can sound eminently smarter than any other real estate agent in my market, right? Because no other real estate in my market is using median home price. No other real estate agent in my market's going, increase in equity has been $60,000 since 2019. You have $60,000 sitting in your pocket right now. We've had that discussion. But from a buyer, what I can look at this inventory, and again, I don't need to remember 2779. I don't have that kind of brain. But what I can say is, how's the market look? Did you know that there's more houses on the market today than there was at any point in time in 2022 and any point in time in 2021? So as a buyer, you have more choices today than you've had in the past 2 years. The last time we hit this number was 2885, was October of 2020, right? And so again, I want to be the market expert because I know that every person that I talk to knows multiple real estate agents. And I also know that when it comes to selecting a real estate agent, they're only going to choose how many? One. They're going to choose one agent. And so I need to be able to have that conversation. So if the only thing that I remember is median home price and what that equity is and what inventory looks like, then I can have a conversation with any buyer and any seller. Hey, Brent, how's the market? Well, if you're looking to buy, there's more choices today than there have been in the past 2 years. Interest rates are going down, all right? Buyers are starting to come to the market. We're starting to see some competition. So if you're interested in buying, I think now's the time. Because as we get into the spring, more buyers are going to get in there. This inventory, that's going to be scooped up. So why not strike while the iron's hot when we have more inventory today than we've had in the past 2 years? All right. Those are the conversations that we can have to shake loose buyers and sellers because buyers are staring at interest rate. It's your responsibility to tell them interest rate is important, but that's not the only factor as to buy a home. As interest rates go down, they're going to have less choices. And so why not let them make that decision, right? So we want to be able to plant those seeds either for buyers today or for buyers in the future. It's something as simple as, hey, what interest rate are you waiting on, right? So think about where your business came from. Think about where those last buyers came from, all right? And that's kind of what we want to shake loose as well. Again, they asked sellers, now let's look at the buyers, right? They asked buyers, hey, where did you find your real estate agent? It was 65%. Friends, neighbors, relatives, past clients, and referrals. It was what, 65 or 68% for the sellers? It's 61% for buyers, okay? Mainly because it's the previous agent. Look at this. This is the crazy number. 50%. 50% of first-time home buyers, somebody that's never bought a house in their life, 50% of the time, they're asking a friend, a neighbor, or a relative, who did you use? So you don't think the power of your sphere is important? They talk about the sphere of the sphere. You don't think that's powerful? 50% of the time, a first-time home buyer just says, ask a friend, neighbor, or relative, who did you use? So if you're not at least communicating and at least getting everybody in your database there, then I think that's the mistake that we're missing in that piece as well. And then again, the dirty little secret, it was 80% with sellers. it's 70% with buyers. 70% of the time, buyers are going to only interview one agent. And so again, that's why it's so important to get belly to belly. That's why it's so important to be able to get to that initial meeting, right? 81% of the time with sellers, 71% of the time with buyers, and this is what 88% of the time they're only interviewing one or two agents. Okay, that's what we need to be focusing on at least over the next couple of weeks to be able to shake loose those buyers and sellers. And so I would encourage you, get into your database. It's something as simple as being able to reach out to all those people, have those conversations. The only thing that you need to know, median home price, what was the equity from 2019 to today? All right, what did that equity look like? And then what's the inventory look like? When was the last time you had this much inventory? My guess is it's a couple years ago. All right, so now I can talk to buyers and sellers and I can become the market expert and we can lead into that second conversation. And that second conversation is when I solidify that particular client. So I'm super encouraged about 2024. I really think it's going to be awesome. Hopefully we can do this. And again, I will give all this information to you as well. So just as a reminder, I'm going to be up there on January 18th. Talking about your business plan. That's kind of what I want to talk about for 5 or 10 minutes here, is actually formulating your business, right? There's a ton of classes that talk about what we just talked about, how to acquire those buyers and sellers. But in January, what we're going to be discussing is how do you set up your business, right? It's one thing to bring in gross commission income, all right? But what I want to prepare you for, at least what we're going to talk about over the 3 hours of CE on January 18th, is not only making money, but keeping the money that you make and some strategies that you can put in place to be able to do that and how we can have those conversations. It's kind of a working on your business, not in your business. I always forget how that goes, right? But ultimately, what you want to come to the table with here is how can I formulate my business to be profitable? Because I know a lot of agents that make a lot of money. They're number one in their company. And we, of course, the past week, I've seen all of the statistics and how much you've sold and how many buyers and how many sellers and what your dollar volume and all of that. And every time I see one of those posts, and if you did one, congratulations, I'm not trying to diminish that. But to me, and I learned this a long time ago, one of my business mentors said it so much that it's stuck with me. It's not about the money you make. It's about the money you keep. And so every time I see one of those posts, the first thing that comes into my mind is, they made the money. Did they keep the money? And that's really where the business plan comes in. That's what we're going to talk about on January the 18th. So I would encourage you to come in there and take a look at it as well, because those are some things that we're going to do. So one of the things that we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about, and I just kind of want to set it up just for a second, and then I will take a couple of questions, is a lot of times we just don't talk openly about money. It's it's a taboo topic, but you're never going to ask me. It's very impolite to ask me how much I make. It's very impolite for me to ask you how much I make. You know, we're not really taught about money and financial wellness in school. I know some of you may have taken the NAR is actually teaching agents how to go into high schools and teach about money management, which I think is awesome as well. Sometimes our mentors, right, the people that we look up to, perhaps they may not be the best money managers as well. They're wonderful people. They're excellent, you know, great moral character, leaders, that sort of thing. But from a financial standpoint, they may have made some missteps or bad decisions as well. So sometimes that doesn't happen there as well. And then one thing that we need to realize is choices have consequences, right? And now's the time for goal setting. And I'm a big goal setting guy. I believe in writing down your goals and that sort of thing. But we understand that every choice that we make does have consequences, right? And so, for instance, let's say that one of my goals is to be one of the top 5 agents in my company this year, okay? Maybe I made top 10, now I want to be top 5. Or maybe I was top 20, now I want to be top 3, right? I think it's a wonderful goal, right? I want to be the top. I want to be number 1, which is awesome. But if another goal is I want work-life balance, we got to kind of think about, is that going to work, right? Because how much time did we put into our business getting into top 10, and how much extra work are we going to have to put in to get to top 5 or top 3? And if I put in that extra work, then something's going to have to give. And is it going to be that work-life balance? And I'm not saying one way's right or one way's wrong. I just think it's a decision that we all have to make in the goal-setting world. If I want to move into that, if I want to move and work harder and make more money, potentially I'm going to have to give something up. And so, and I'm all for a work-life balance, but again, we just need to be realistic as well. And so what we're going to do is kind of create a plan that's unique to you. When you leave on January the 18th, you're going to have a plan that's really unique to you. We're going to be honest about our situations. And then we're not going to beat ourselves up. We're not going to worry about any missteps that we may have made in the past. What we're going to do is really kind of focus on how we can build better with the future. And as I said, particularly with the work-life balance, it's impossible for you being a small business owner, and that's what you need to think about. You are a small business owner. It's absolutely impossible not to talk about a business plan and not bring in your personal life. Your business is designed to fund your life. And even in my business, right? My business is designed to pay for all the fun things, right? I've got a wife and kids and a mortgage and all the different things that we have. And so I do think it's all wrapped into one. And it would be ridiculous, right, to talk about a business plan and say, oh, well, just keep your personal life personal. Well, no, it's all one big pot. And so we're going to talk about how your business life can affect your personal life, and certainly how your personal life can affect your business life in a good way, right? We're going to talk about it in a much more positive way, but I do think it's something that we need to think about and be prepared for from those things. So that's where we're headed. We're going to also discuss what are the top 3 things from your tax professional. Who's your tax professional, and what do we need what questions do we need to ask them? We're going to talk about what's called the real estate professional status. And if your tax professional hasn't designated, if you are a full-time real estate agent and you are not designated as a real estate professional status, and you are not actively investing in real estate, you are leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. All right, listen to me. If you are not actively investing in real estate as a real estate professional status, and if real estate is your primary career, then you are leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. So we'll talk about what questions to ask, how to shore up that real estate professional status, and instead of directing money to the IRS and giving it to the government, you can direct that money back into your pocket by being a real estate investor, because it's probably one of the most impactful ways that A, you can build wealth, but B, you can reduce your tax burden. And speaking of taxes, we're going to talk a lot about that as well. What are the 3 or 4, other than real estate professional status, what are the other 3 major deductions that real estate agents aren't taking? Mileage, meals, home office deduction. We'll talk about what those look like, how you can talk to your tax professional about it, the best way to stay organized with those things. And then we're going to wrap up with your financial team. Right? Do you need an accountant? What do you need a lawyer for? Do you need a financial planner? Right? Well, who are all these people that need to be involved in the team? And we'll talk about what questions to ask them, how to be able to shore up your business, right? And so what we want to do in January really is sort of solidify your business. I don't want you coming out of pocket tens of thousands of dollars. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is set up your business profile to be profitable. All right? Have those controls in place. We're going to design a plan that's unique to you. We're going to figure out a way that you can become profitable, but also we're going to put some people in place that you can have on standby that can help guide you along that path. So I'm really excited to have you there. I look forward to seeing you there. And if anybody has any questions, we'll just go ahead and leave the last couple of minutes for questions. We got nothing?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything right now. If anyone has any
Perfect.
questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But if not, that was a great first presentation to kick off the year. I'm sure we'll have a lot of people interested in coming in for your class on the 18th. Everyone make sure or the register for that if you're interested. I put the link in the chat, and you can of course go to the calendar and lirealtor.com. And if you guys want to rewatch this presentation or download the slides, you can go to lirealtor.com/webinars. Yeah, but I think it looks like we're all set for now. So thanks so much, Brent. That was great.
Super awesome. And I'll email you these right now. So
Perfect. Thank
put
you.
those on the
That would
website.
be great. I'm sure everyone will want them. Everyone seems very happy with this class, so I think this is a great one to kick off the year. And yeah, I think we can end it there.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you guys were wonderful. I really appreciate your time and attention. And if there's anything that I can do for you, please feel free to reach out. But you guys are awesome. And I hope to see you on the 18th. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
All right. Goodbye.